tracks today.
Yeah. I need them bands, run it up fast, stuffing them shits in the safe. Got me a spot out the way, nigga just trying to be safe. Leaving the house with the glizzy, nigga.
Let's get to the sports talk. Derrick Rose give advice to Dwight Howard about the injuries.
MVP, you had the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals, a chance to go to the NBA Finals. You had the devastating injury. You had another knee injury. You've had 4 surgeries in a very short period of time, and you get cut by some teams. You were on the ascension, Derrick, to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, that is not hyperbole. That is, and I'm sure you knew that as well. And all of a sudden, you have these injuries and these heartbreaks and these personal, or I should say professional failures getting...
I blame that on Thibodeau. If you up by a certain amount of points, why would you let your starters stay in and you up 106? I remember the game to like 88 and they weren't trying to come back. And you gonna leave your star in. Soon as he went for the layup or dunk, his knee gave out. I blame it on him. Like, you blowing them out, and y'all have 100 points. I think they had 80. I can't remember, it was 106, 110. I just know they was blowing them out. And Thibodeau left Derrick Rose in. Ever since that injury, he been having injury after injury after injury. Like, you up and you still leave your starters out there on the court? Come on, man. Like, it's good to see Derrick Rose still in the league, having the opportunities to showcase what he still have. But that, I blame it on the head coach. Like, come on, man.
Cut by these respective teams. Going through all of that, Derrick, what were those moments like for you, and did some of those days become really dark?
Of course. I felt every emotion you could think of, but to talk on the Hall of Fame thing, I am a Hall of Famer, and not in everybody's eyes, but to the people that I grew up with. Like, I made it, I executed, I got to where I was at. I've been having these same expectations I have now. They were thrown on me in 6th grade. I achieved all that. I got through all that. Imagine like being 12 or 13, and everywhere you go, people are like putting like their burdens on you. Like, man, you're going to be the one to make it. You know what? You have it. Like, you're going to be the one, shorty. You the one. You're like, what? Like, when I was younger, I used to always like pray a lot, because when people used to say things like that, I felt like they were jinxing me. And it was just a weird position to be in. And now looking back at it, I was just happy that I had the mentors I had. I was open and vulnerable enough to talk to people when it was uncomfortable, and I got through it.
What did it take you to get to that point, Derrick, that you were comfortable talking about things that previously made you uncomfortable to discuss?
I think my mom, like being around her, we tend to, like, we're very independent. And when we have tough times or go through tough times, we shut everybody out, and we feel like we could handle everything ourselves. And I think I got that from her, where during that time, I never worried about basketball. My problems were always like off the court, like with like friendships. Right. Like, I had one of my friends tell me that he had to step away from me because we were in a hot seat at the time. And at the time, I couldn't comprehend that, or I couldn't understand it, because it was like, bro, we got this far, through the bull. No, we got this far. Why you stepping away now? But those were the things I was worried about, not basketball.
Derrick Rose has a new book out called I'll Show You. You can get it on Amazon and other fine book retailers right now. Former MVP with the Bulls and played for several different teams throughout his career, especially as of late. So what makes you still want to keep playing basketball, Derrick, at this point?
You know, I had to change my perception. Like, of course, I love the game. When you're in the game and you learn the business. For someone like the way that I grew up, you learn the business side, and it like draws you back a little bit.
Man, Derrick Rose always gonna love the game because he was at the top when he was in Chicago. You know, it's good to see him still out there putting up points. Good he still could play at a high level. And it's good Detroit gave him another opportunity. You know, he did good with the T-Wolves. Like he had he almost got the sixth man of the year. He almost got that. You know, he is a former MVP. He ain't the same, but he's still out there having an explosive a little bit still. It just, man, and that was him. I blame him on my former coach. Like he put him in the opportunity when he say, I don't want to get off the court, you have to make him get off the court. If you winning by a certain amount of points, why you need to be out there? Thibodeau should have said, sit down. We up. But he's still out there putting up good numbers. He just came a little short behind Lou Williams for that sixth man award. Like he's still playing at a high level. That's why Detroit brought him in. Like he could be smart off the bench. Like he still give you, you know, good points once he get on the court. You know, Detroit just need a little more players to get more scoring. I just want to see what he gonna do while he in Detroit. You know, like he gonna continue doing what he doing last season and bring it to Detroit for him.
Because you start to see that, you just see the business side of it. And my perspective had to change because it had to go from me actually like purely just loving the game to understand the game to, all right, I'm solely only doing this for my kids. Mm-hmm. Like during the time that I was thinking about retiring, I thought about my son, and I thought about how he wouldn't be able to like come to the games before, like to shoot around with me, to work out with me before the games. Like I was taking that away from him, and I was being selfish, and I had to grow up basically and just stick it through.
What was rock bottom for you?
Rock bottom. Yeah. I would have to say, like I said, I never worried about basketball. It was always just friendships and going through turmoil with just being in Chicago, going places, people talking. It was just a lot to go through in your hometown.
I'm going to ask you a little perspective and advice for someone else. Dwight Howard just rejoined the Lakers for a second time, and he recently said that he hit rock bottom, and that changed his perspective on things. And you know, when you say that term, it can be,
man, when you had those knee injuries, man, and you keep having them injuries, man, it play in the back of your mind, man. You don't know what to do. Like if they gonna give me an opportunity to play, or they see me as just an injury-prone player. Like it's so much to go into it when you injure yourself. Do they still want me on the team? Will I get a nice contract or even get on the play? It's just like when you had an injury, man, it circulate. And when you keep having them, and then it take a long time for a team to call you back, and you away from the game, you fall into depression because you've been playing at a high level, and then the injuries derail your career sometimes. For most players not to bounce back from it. Some don't. And when you away from it, it just has you thinking like, I'm gonna get another opportunity at it.
so many different different things for different people, whether it's career-wise, personal-wise, what have you. For Derrick Rose hitting rock bottom and continuing on in the pursuit of still playing basketball or being in the sport for his family, what advice would you give Dwight Howard, who's now in a somewhat similar position, trying to do the same thing basketball-wise there in Los Angeles?
I would have to say be patient.
How hard is that to do, though, Derrick? How hard is it to be patient considering who you were, or who you are, pardon me?
I'm saying everybody's different, though, to each his own. But I'm saying for me, my advice to someone else, I didn't know at the time that I was going through everything that my biggest blessing was my calmness. I always wonder, man, I'm in this profession. I have to be an extrovert. I have to be social. I have to do all this stuff because this is required. I'm thinking this is what's required from me.
Right.
But little did I know is that no, be who you are. You're quiet. I didn't know what an introvert was until I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. This whole time I didn't know I had to go back to my room and recharge. I'm thinking everybody had to do this or everybody's fatigued this way. It's little things that you know. So that's why I say maturing. I didn't know nothing about that, introvert, extrovert stuff. Little things like that helped me a long way to understand who I was as a person, as a man, and as a black man.
What did this book do for you in terms of writing it and be able to express yourself and get certain things out? What did this moment do for you?
It was solely for my fans. I have a huge fan base.
Yeah, you do.
Everywhere I go, I have people that relate to me or just get a feeling or a vibe from me from some way, somehow. And I never opened up to anyone like the way that I did, or like I'm doing right now. And this is just a little insight on who I am as a person. I feel like I'm a very complex person. You can put everything in a book by wanting to give you a visual. That's why I put out the documentary. I'm giving you a book so you'll be able to read it, and you never know what the future may hold.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights.